Yes. And so, as I mentioned, with the arrival of LLMs, we were able to improve our low-code platform in order to allow even more easier way to create Ryax action and use cases in Ryax. So this is an important evolution for low-code platform, and if you remember well, it's open source, so you will be able to see it. And I think that with the improvement made to LLM at the moment, it will be others. Charles will first introduce himself, will present this new feature and show you how to use it. Okay, thank you, Charles. The floor is yours. If you have any question, you can ask in the chat, and we will answer it during the webinar if it is important, or after the webinar, right? Charles, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Anthony. Hello all, I'm Charles. I'm an engineer at Ryax, and let me share my screen, André, if that's all right. Today I'm going to be showing an example of what André mentioned, is generating Ryax actions using ChatGPT integrated in RyaxAI. And I'll be using a quick motivating example to create a backend application without any code, using just actions we have already available in Ryax. Okay. I'll share my screen. Here is an already existing, let me just move this. An already existing instance of Ryax that I have open, where I'm showing the workflow that'll generate actions using ChatGPT, where basically you will have a prompt in this location, and the workflow will call on RyaxAI to generate that action for you, push it to a Git directory of your choice, and then build it into this Ryax instance for use in other workflows. Okay, let's go to a fresh project where we'll create this example from scratch. The example is motivated by this phenomenon here called wiki racing. And basically what we want to do in the end is create a backend that first will do all the data management to create a network graph of Wikipedia pages. So a knowledge graph of Wikipedia. And in the end, maybe build some features akin to this one, which is kind of an existing implementation where you can do the wiki race, where, let's see, you can find out how quickly you can get from one Wikipedia page to another, such as Onion to machine learning. And it'll generate you the graph. In this case, it's a small graph, and then the paths. That's the idea. Here we can perhaps do a more difficult one. In this case, it's a slightly larger graph. So we want to create a backend that'll start accumulating the data and storing it properly to be able to do some kind of reasoning over these types of graphs based on the knowledge base that is Wikipedia. And we'll do that using RyaxAI. So I've already generated the actions that exist in this repository here using the two prompts that you have here. The first one, I won't read them out entirely, but the first one will take as input a keyword and will go fetch a Wikipedia page based on that keyword. And it'll give us the summary of that page as well as all of the links contained in that page. And the links will help us make the graph. I'll go for that one first. So first I need to, these are our RyaxAI actions. Where I can go and get the actions I've already generated. This is the second one, and the first one will be This one here, fetch Wikipedia article. And then the second action that I was talking about, I described a slightly more complicated algorithm that will download files from our file storage. In this case, I'm using an S3 bucket that'll read in those files, which are the files that were uploaded by our first action, and that'll follow the links. And if it finds a link that we don't already have in our bucket, it'll basically just output that keyword. And what we'll do is we'll take that keyword and we'll call in our first action to go grab that new link. So these two things will work together in our backend, and I'll show you how right now. We have our two actions that were generated by ChatGPT here. So the two I just described, the fetch Wikipedia article, and the one that'll check for any outstanding links. Next, I'm going to add some actions that are already available in Ryax at this location, default actions. Default. And from this repository, I'm going to take a number of things, namely the ability to create an API endpoint. We will take some things related to S3, which I'll use as my data storage in this example. We'll take the ability to post to an endpoint internal to Ryax. And we'll take one more, this one here, that'll allow us to run a workflow on a timer, on a timed trigger. So we just have to wait a moment for these to build. And just while they build, something I failed to mention is I've asked ChatGPT to generate me actions using the following Python library. So behind ChatGPT is going to be building Python actions in Ryax using this library that we'll call the Wikipedia API to get Wikipedia pages. It's just a Python wrapper for the Wikipedia database. Let's see here. Perhaps we have enough now. The first thing I'm going to do, and I should perhaps mention actually that the only thing I've already touched in this project is just a couple variables that are the access points to my data storage. So in this case, my S3 bucket. So the first thing we want to do is use the first action, which will be to fetch wiki articles. Article singular, and to upload them to our data storage. So we'll make an endpoint in Ryax that'll allow us to fetch a Wikipedia article. One single API call will fetch one Wikipedia article based on the name. Let's call it page name, name of wiki page, name wiki page, and the query of this API call, and this will be a string, I suppose. Lowercase. And we need to template an endpoint, scrape wiki. So we'll do, and this will be a post call. And the description and the tags, for the moment, we don't care. Just put wiki. Next, what are we going to do? We'll use the action that was generated by RyaxAI to grab that page name. And as you'll see, it'll output a JSON file that it fetched, which we then want to upload to our data storage, which perhaps is not built yet. We'll go and look here. Here, upload file to AWS. It should build quickly. In the meantime, we can start our second workflow that'll serve to fetch more wiki articles. And we can check here. Here we have it. Where we'll upload that file that was output by our RyaxAI action. And otherwise, we can just input our parameters that we already have in our project settings. Our S3 key, secret key, bucket name. And in this case, we don't need to add a timestamp to our file. So we'll leave it like that. And this we can deploy. And already like this, we have a backend working with one singular endpoint. This one here, Scrape Wiki, that we can test out and ask it to that show Wikipedia page for us. It's going to take a moment. But there we go. It made the post request to our endpoint, and now our workflow will be executing. We'll go have a look while I copy that full URL. Back here. And we'll find that our workflow ran with the input parameters. It fetched the Wikipedia article with the keyword machine learning, and it output that file with the links and the name of the article and uploaded to our data storage. So now we're starting one by one to upload files to our data storage. We're going to automate this process with our second workflow. Perhaps we can more appropriately call this automate fetch wiki article, in which we'll run on a trigger. In this case, I'll say every minute, which will fetch Wikipedia articles from our, which will check our bucket for missing files that we can parameterize with our keys. So again, this is the second action that I described using this prompt here. I'll check for files and send through the first file name, or in this case, Wikipedia article name that doesn't exist in our storage. And we can simply make a post request to our first templated endpoint. And that'll be the missing file name that we don't have. So this will be every minute. Let's do a recap. Going in and executing our action that was generated by RyaxAI, that'll output the first link that we don't have indexed in our knowledge graph in our bucket storage. And it'll make a post request to our first endpoint that'll then go fetch that article. So we can deploy this. We can see that it's already running. And like this, every minute we'll have a new Wikipedia article contributing to our building knowledge graph now. So that's the essence of the entire backend that later we can build on top of. But already we have an endpoint, the data storage, the automation, and the organization to build this knowledge graph of Wikipedia articles. So now probably this is run. And we have, in this case, we've asked for the first link that we don't have indexed in our data storage, which is the page for Anaheim. And we can see over here, perhaps not yet. Behind the scenes, it'll be calling again on our first endpoint and fetching more and more Wikipedia articles based on the automation that occurs in our second workflow. That's about all I have to present. I'll leave it open to questions now. André, I'll give you, I'll leave it back to you. And otherwise, if anyone has questions, the floor is open.
Yes. So do not hesitate. If you have any question, you can send it, or maybe you can, yes, you can send it in the chat. For now, we don't have any question. Charles, I think it was clear enough.
I hope so.
Okay, great. So as you have seen, the first step, the first usage for us for ChatGPT, and it works very well at first step. It was quite easy to do it, and once more, it's how we can improve the way to develop and to let our customer using a Ryax with in a low-code way, low-code manner, let's say. Yes. Do we need a ChatGPT license, Charles? Charles,
sorry, what was the question, André?
It was, do we need ChatGPT licenses? In fact, you need, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, ChatGPT is distributed as a paid tool by OpenAI. So to use that tool, you need a license for ChatGPT. André, I can let you expound on our distribution of the tool. But
yeah,
in addition, depending on the use case, in this case, we can furnish ChatGPT specialized for Ryax actions, but there exist other forms of the tool that can do different things. I'm not sure if that answers the question.
Dan, is that clear for us? Did we answer the question? Okay.
Yeah, perhaps if I can expand a little bit on that. Currently, we actually use our own API keys in order to use ChatGPT. So this is something that eventually, if it is used, by others, you can use your own API key directly and connect on the API of ChatGPT with your API key. But currently what you saw is while we use our own API keys, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Another question from Cyrus. What part of the workflow is ChatGPT automating in your example?
Good question, Cyrus. So in this example, I used RyaxAI to generate the actions that'll be used in my workflow. The workflow itself will be automating the backend, so the collection of data for the knowledge graph. But the part that it's automating in this case is the development needed to create actions, to write the code for actions that then we'll use in our workflow.
Okay. You're welcome. Other question, remarks? Okay, great. So if you have any remarks, use cases you want to discuss, or everything you have in mind, feel free to contact us. You can use the address contact@ryax.tech, or up to you, André at Ryax.tech, Yanis at Ryax.tech, etc., or Charles at Ryax.tech. It works fine. So feel free to ask. And if you don't, if there is no more question, then we can close the webinar. Thank you all for attending the webinar, and keep in touch for the next one. Have a good end of the day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.